to roll? You guys ready?
Yep.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Let's turn the microphone. Good evening, everybody. I'll call to order this meeting of the Kalispell City Planning Commission. Today is Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. Can we get a roll call, please?
Dustin Leffridge.
Here.
Kate Walker.
Here.
Brett Huff.
Here.
Cody Hunter.
Here.
Doug Kaufman.
Here.
Emmett Van Allen.
Here.
Rory Young.
Here. We have a full house tonight. And part of our full house, we have 3 new members. So welcome Emmett, Dustin, and Brett. Thank you for joining us here this evening, and good luck. We have a few agenda items tonight. First up on our agenda is election of officers. There are 2 officers that preside over the Planning Commission. There is a president and a vice president. It doesn't matter which order we start in.
Typically, you do president first and then move to vice.
Okie dokie. I would entertain a motion from the board or a nomination for a board member to stand as president for the next year.
I'd nominate Rory Young as president.
Do we second?
I'll second.
So I was nominated in second. I'm happy to take on the position. For those of you that are new on the Planning Commission, I don't know how long I've been here. I did Leadership Flathead in 2011, and I think I joined the board in 2012. So happy to continue and happy to take on the position of president. But before I do that, happy to entertain any other nominations. If anyone has any other nominations. Seeing none, do we need to do a roll call?
Yep.
So on the, on the nomination for Rory Young to be president of the Planning Commission for the next year, a roll call vote, please.
Brett Huff.
Yes.
Emmett Van Allen.
Yes.
Doug Kaufman.
Yes.
Cody Hunter.
Yes.
Kate Walker.
Yes.
Dustin Leffridge.
Yes.
Thank you.
Rory Young. Sorry.
I was going to say thank you for not asking me, but yes.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to applaud for myself, but thank you. Thank you for your support. It was much appreciated. And next up is Vice President. I would entertain nominations for a Vice President for the coming year.
I'd nominate Kate Walker as vice president.
I'll second that.
We have a nominee and a second. Any other nominations before we proceed? Well, yes, we should maybe ask the nominee if they're willing to.
Yes, I'm happy to. Thank you.
Any other nominations? Seeing none from the board, can we get a vote on appointing Kate Walker as vice president for the coming year?
Dustin Leffridge.
Aye.
Doug Kaufman.
Yes.
Emmett Van Allen.
Yes.
Kate Walker.
Sure.
Brett Huff.
Yes.
Cody Hunter.
Yes.
Rory Young.
Aye. Thank you, board members. Thank you, Kate, for volunteering. Anything else on election of officers? No? Okay. Move on to approval of the minutes. I would look to the board, or at least those on the board that were here last month, to provide us with a motion to approve the minutes.
I move the, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Doug. It's all you. I'll second it for you.
I move that the minutes, minutes for the regular meeting of April 14th 2026 be approved as published.
I second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify your agreement by stating aye.
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 All opposed or any opposed, same sign. Motion is approved for our minutes for April 2026. Moving on with our agenda, there is, now is the time for any member of the public that wishes to address the Planning Commission on any items that do not form part of our hearing. Our public hearing this evening relates to the public participation plan update, part of the Montana Land Use Plan that we've been working through. But before we get to that part of the public hearing, any members of the public who wish to have their say? Yeah. Anyone online? No? Seeing none, I will close the Hear the Public part of our meeting and move into our public hearing. We have one item tonight, which is the Public Participation Plan update. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but City of Kalispell recently updated the Kalispell Land Use Plan, Planet 2045. Staff report, please.
Okay, thank you. Commission members, as was stated, this is kind of a follow-up to the Montana Land Use Planning Act and so a lot of the stuff we've been doing over the last couple of years. Just real, to summarize, the MLUPA, Montana Land Use Planning Act, has got several parts. Some of the first things that we did was created the Planning Commission out of the Planning Board. We adopted a public participation plan, which a lot of it was geared around the adoption of the land use plan and then the subsequent regulations, the subdivision regulations and zoning regulations, which were recently updated through City Council. The land use plan was adopted back in April by the council as well. So kind of what we're doing is kind of closing the loop on this a little bit. A lot of the regulations were a little, and state statutes for that matter too, were a little bit vague on the specifics of what you did in terms of public participation when you're looking at site-specific development that's coming forward. So subdivisions, conditional use permits, and variances. So there's a lot of discussion going through both the Planning Commission and City Council on how to best do that. And so what this document is kind of, again, closing that loop and trying to do everything that we can within the parameters of the Land Use Planning Act to allow for public participation in those site-specific instances. Just kind of scrolling through the initial part through here, just to kind of show the overall context. And again, most of this portion of the participation plan is based on the adoption of the land use plan. But at the end, you're getting into subsequent site-specific development. What we did here, we took out some things relating to the scope and how that narrows down, because it's with some of the recent updates to the state statutes were a little bit different than the original 382 language. So we took that out. But this is kind of really getting into the core of what we're talking about. And what we did is we put in a table that looked at the type of action and the notice that would be required. And really, for the most part, this is exactly what we do now for notices. It's a combination of in the newspaper and through mail that would go out. Probably the one change is if you're looking at zoning appeals or subdivision appeals, MLUPA specifies how that's done. But the other ones, it kind of leaves it open as to what cities would do specifically. And that's where with zoning text amendments, we've always just done that in the newspaper. That's not really site specific, so you don't have neighbors necessarily to advertise to. Map amendments, if you're changing the zoning on the zoning map, it's always been newspaper and mail. We would do that here. PUDs, work sessions would be by mail only, and that's just a courtesy notice. And that would be something similar we got coming up this coming month. The actual hearing would be newspaper and mail. Again, through a specific section for zoning appeals. Variances would be newspaper and mail, as would conditional use permits. preliminary plats would be newspaper and mail. Under the current process that's laid out in Malupa, there can be subsequent notices that may go out based on what written comment comes in. So if there's written comment that comes in that shows that something about a project wasn't contemplated in the land use plan, then you develop additional information and there's an opportunity for the public to comment on that. But that would just be by mail for anything subsequent. Subdivision variances, newspaper and mail, but that's almost always going to be in conjunction with the preliminary plat. Subdivision text amendments would be in the newspaper, and then appeals would be similar to zoning. We specified that publication in newspaper would be newspaper of general circulation in the community. Any mailings would be to all property owners within 150 feet of the subject property or proposed zoning district boundary, which has been the standard that we've typically worked under for really decades. Then we get into the section here where we're talking about public participation for site-specific development when a public hearing is not provided. So, kind of as a reminder here, annexations are going to go through the regular way that we always have, be a public hearing here, pass a recommendation to city council. Zoning districts or the zoning map would be, anytime we're adopting regulations, it would be the same. PUDs would be the same. The main difference when we're talking about site-specific developments, subdivisions, conditional use permits, and variances. And so, and again, a lot of this language kind of got worked out at the council level, working through the work sessions, and eventually the actual decisions on the land use plan and the regulations. But it kind of does look at a website, and a lot of this we kind of already do to some extent. It's through our public, through our planning commission page on the website. But it kind of specifies that the city would maintain a publicly accessible planning page on our website, lists the materials that we would have on that, allows for the city to accept written comments during that period. And that's important to understand why it's just written comment, is because that's what Malupa allows us to receive. We can't have public hearings on these, but we would be receiving written public comment that they could submit. It would provide for a subscription alert system. So basically, anybody in the city could sign up for a free email subscription where they would be notified when we'd be putting projects on to the website. And then we would also post written decisions once staff would make a written determination on a subdivision or a CUP. We would post that on there, and that's important because there's a 15 business day window where either the developer or a neighbor or an aggrieved party could appeal that decision. So that's what we've added in there. We've tried to incorporate, again, the most public participation and input as we can, given the parameters under Malupa. So with that, be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, PJ. Any questions for staff?
I did have one. What is the process under that Malupa 7-1-4127?
It's a process that we follow for most things that go through city council, but it's basically just in the newspaper.
Okay.
You say the last part again? I missed it, sorry.
Oh, it's in the newspaper.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for staff?
No, sir.
There are no more questions. I would look to, you're looking for a motion for recommendation to city
Correct,
council?
yes.
I'd look for a motion from the board.
I move to approve the City of Kalispell Public Participation Plan update as written. That's about it, isn't it?
I
Well,
second that.
and it'd be forwarding a positive recommendation.
And, and forwarding a positive recommendation to the city council.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion from the board?
I'll just say this proposal derived from frustration that the council, and I think many of you here felt on the modifications of the planning, how the planning process eliminates public participation. In my estimation, both as a citizen and a lawyer, the fundamental right to know and participate is absolutely essential. And it was incredibly frustrating to see how Malupa has the potential to dissolve that. And so the statutes on Malupa give municipalities the ability and broad discretion in order to determine how public notice is being given. And so I worked with the staff after long conversations with the attorneys and with PJ and Jared to try to figure out the best way under Malupa in order to facilitate the public being able to be aware of these things and to be able to participate in a meaningful way. I mean, as of right now, once a decision is made from the planning staff, there's 15 days in order to provide public comment. Theoretically, that record and what is being given out at that time has the potential to be the record that is appealed throughout the entirety of the process. So this citizens being able to have access to information, know the process, and being able to effectively make that record in a very short period of time is absolutely essential. And so I really appreciate staff, PJ in particular, for hearing these concerns, being very creative about how we can do this in a meaningful way. And I believe that what is set out here is at the absolute forefront of what municipalities are doing in the state of Montana in terms of being able to give their citizenry the opportunity to effectuate those constitutional rights. So I'm really proud of the city for what's happening here. And I think we can all very proudly say that we're protecting our citizens' constitutional rights here. And so appreciate all of your support.
Thank you. Any other board thoughts on the motion?
I just say, I think it's time to move this forward, and particularly if the council already has input and this is what's drafted and it looks pretty close to what I expected to see from the planning board side of it. So I'm all for moving this forward to the city council.
Yeah, I appreciate city council providing this direction, and for staff, I know we've, I wouldn't say lost, but our most vocal complainant of the process that we've been through is no longer here on the board or the commission with us, but I think Chad would be happy, maybe not to see the whole thing going through, but at least to know that we've done something to try to encourage that public comment that
Yeah.
has, I've just seen it where developers, as much as they are ruthless and bloodthirsty, or so the saying goes, they hear what neighbors say, and
Yeah.
I think that we've had some very good compromises have come out of public hearings. So.
Right. So, yeah, I think what I keep coming back to when I hear scuttlebutt from people around, and one, I think it is a matter of not understanding some of the planning process, and two, not understanding that Malupa is a law that was given to us by the state that we have to follow, and we were given certain parameters in which we had to work with. And so I think, given that that framework, I think we've done the best that we and the staff and the city council have done the best that we can, given those situations.
Thank you. Any other last thoughts, first thoughts, second thoughts? No. So the motion we have before us is to move this forward with a recommendation to approve to the city council. If there is no other discussion, can we get a roll call, please?
Brett Huff,
Yes.
Kate Walker,
Yes.
Emmett Van Allen. Yes. Cody Hunter,
Yes.
Rory Young,
Aye.
Doug Kaufman.
Yes.
I think I'm missing someone here.
Dustin Leftridge.
Dustin Leffridge.
Hi.
Thank you.
So that moves forward. We'll go to city council
June 1st.
June 1st. Thank you. With that, that is the end of our public hearing portion of our meeting this evening. And we move into old business.
So old business, we had that Southtown Plaza subdivision, which was adjacent to the Amazon, part of the Gardner PUD, and that was approved at City Council earlier in the month. We also had second reading on subdivision and zoning regulations, and those were two things we did public hearings earlier on in the fall or in the spring here. And brought those forward to City Council after the adoption of the land use plan. But those were approved on first and second reading.
Just following up on old business, so we are now compliant with Senate Bill 382?
Yes.
With, this PPP update is the
This is
last
kind of
part
closing the
that.
loop, but I would say that we're compliant with it, with the regulations that we adopted. And this is kind of closing the loop a little bit and adding clarity on on exactly how we should take in some of the public comments. So,
So any new applications will be under our new regulations?
correct.
Okay.
We should be throwing a party.
New business.
So next month, we've got a work session on Birchwood Plan Unit Development. So that's up adjacent to Northlands, kind of up against the bypass. Habitat for Humanity is working on that in conjunction with some other groups to do a project out there. But we'll be doing a work session on that PUD. This will be the first one where we kind of split out the process a little bit. So normally there'd be the annexation, initial zoning, PUD, and subdivision. Subdivision would be done after the fact administratively, but we'd be looking at it otherwise the same way that we've looked at any other PUD that'd be coming through, having that work session first in June, and then presumably having the public hearing in July. We're also going to have two additional hearings. We did this last month. There's public hearings that we would provide a forum for. We wouldn't be doing any decision or anything for a tax credit for low-income housing. And so we'll be a forum for those comments to come in next month.
You say there's two of those?
Two of them, yes.
Very cool.
Cool.
Any items from the board? New business? Should we go home? We're adjourned.